We invite open, curious minds to the Hotel Guest Wellbeing Show. I'm your host, Estee Manning. Please join me on a discovery journey of vibrant wellbeing to live happy, healthy, connected, and thriving lives. There is real food, and then there is real food. Real food that is grown in biodynamic, alive soil using sustainable farming practices, and of course, it's grown with love. Food that is rich with nutrients and rich with life and energy, the way it was intended. Craig, Chrissy, and the Shambhala team are the people that nourish Noosa from farm to table. Their mantra is grow, nourish, connect, and they love to inspire through sustainable growing, real food, and yoga. Over 2 years ago, we made the decision to buy food straight from local farms, from Shambhala, and it was one of the best decisions we've made when it comes to food. In this interview with Craig, we dive into the simplicity of real wholesome food, the transformative process of connecting with nature, the joy of eating, how getting dirty is so good for your gut health, workshops and retreats at the farm, wellness trends, and a real resurgence in health in the younger generation and greater demographic. Of all days, a funny thing happened on this day interviewing Craig from Shambhala. Brendan and myself officially became homeowners of a property not far from Craig, also called Shambhala. On this property, we are busily planning and creating a food forest of our own using permaculture principles, and we're loving every moment of it. So it was super exciting for me to be interviewing Craig, who uses many of these principles on his farm. Well, thank you so much for coming here today. We've been I just checked and we've been buying from you guys for over 2 years now, and I just absolutely love the produce. I remember when we first got the carrots, they were the best carrots that we've ever tried. They were so crunchy and so sweet and so beautiful. And, just simple things like eating the broccoli, it feels so different eating your produce to just buying it in the shops. It's like you can feel the love,
Yes.
And I'm sure there's so much more goodness in there as well, but there's so much variety that we get from you guys. And really grateful to have someone like you in this area.
Thank you. Well, that means a lot.
Yeah, well, it's so true. And so tell me more about your business, just for people who don't know what you guys do. Can you just share about what you do?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's getting a little more diverse, and I think part of our simplicity is part of diversity, and that really comes back to right back to the soil. So a really good, strong soil base is diverse. So we've modelled our whole farm practices on that concept of diversity, but also on simplicity. So kind of merging the concept of diversity in nature with simplicity, and simplicity of living, a simple way of living is really what it comes back to, coming back to nature, coming back to what is real, coming back to the soil, coming back to the plant. So first and foremost, we're a farm that grows organic leafy greens. We also have a food hub that delivers a diverse range of vegetables, fruits from local farms, certified organic farms, from sustainable farms, and a whole range of different farms that we call our sustainable food hub. And there's some amazing farmers, and we're all sharing with each other ideas and learning from each other. So that network has been so amazing for myself as a person, but also that links in with the business, so we can continue to grow and thrive and deliver amazing products all these years now. So we've been on the coast here for about 8 years now, growing food, delivering food, and that is also moving into, it's always been based on health and wellness. So a big part of what we're doing now is also doing tours, workshops, retreats, and bringing movement into the experience on the farm. So people come out and stay, or they'll come out and do a day retreat, or a multi-day retreat, or maybe just an hour tour where they get to get their hands in the dirt and see how food is grown. So that's been a really exciting addition. That's just happening this year and further into next year.
I love that, and I love that it comes back to simplicity. Like, we can get so complicated with things in this world, and it's been something I've been thinking about a lot recently as well, just coming back to that simplicity and way of being, and way of living, way of nourishing, movement, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that as a species we've developed so far, and it's so exciting to be where we are in human history. It's amazing what we're doing right now. We can broadcast this sort of stuff live all around the world. We can talk to loved ones in different countries. And at the same time, we've lost so much of what is true and real to us. So a lot of the adults that I come across, they don't know where their food comes from. They don't know where a particular what a particular plant looks like. And I don't think it's healthy, but it's just not our way of life. It's not really. It hasn't been part of our schooling, and I didn't know anything about food, how to grow food, until 10 years ago.
So really?
I was one of those, and I realised I was about to have kids, and it hit me. I was living in Sydney, and my business was doing really well. It was my focus was growth of the business. Health was a big focus. But I realised as I was contemplating, what am I going to tell my kids about health and wellness? And I realised that I didn't really know where the food came from. So I wanted to bring them to a place where they weren't getting as much of the external pressures from what the city life was, and so I brought them up to Noosa, and it was a perfect place. But I thought I was retiring and I was going to surf, and I thought we'll start a little garden and learn and practice and grow, and we did. And they got to learn, I got to learn. We both got to see how does the lettuce grow, and what happens, what eats it, and how do you protect it, and then what can we do with it? So we would make lots of salads and juices, and then got into green smoothies, and my kids loved them, I loved them, and I got to see my kids wanting to eat their greens, and I wasn't like that as a kid, and I realised, the more we interact with nature, the more we feel connected to it, and the more then we want to invite that into our daily lives. So it kind of really lit the passion for me to explore that further, and then that led to Shambhala Farm as a place, and over these 10 years we've had hundreds of people and maybe in the thousands of customers, people that come and stay. Some people do internships, and where they started when they came and when they left, they were transformed, and it is the hardest work that I've ever done, and that most people come and experience. It's the hardest kind of physical work, growing food. It's very labour intensive, but it's also one of the most satisfying things that you can do to get to after a really hard day and sitting around sharing a meal with loved ones or friends, and you know that the food you've eaten, you've put a lot of love, sweat, time, and it's been a journey, and you've really been part of that food's journey, and when I partake in that journey, I feel connected to Mother Earth. I feel connected to the seasons, and I understand more about the true health building blocks of what make me a human being, and I get to really love it when I see new people come in and connect with it as well. So we're taking people on a little journey in a 1 hour tour where we call it a seed to food journey. So we start them with a seed, and they plant the seed, and then it takes them over to how the seedling progresses into it, emerges and sprouts into a seedling, and then into the field where it will stay for 3 to 4 weeks, and then harvesting that, and then we'll skip ahead to the next planting, but in a 1 hour session, people get to experience every aspect of the planting cycle and the food cycle, and then finally where they actually get to harvest it and put it into a salad or a green smoothie or a fresh juice. And it's amazing how transformative that simple process can be for someone's health or someone's mental space, and it's really invigorating is probably the best word to describe to partake in that cycle.
What do you think that is? Because for me, I can see it on quite a few levels how beneficial it is. But from your experience with people, what do you see?
I think that deep down we really do love to work hard. Maybe that's not the right. I guess that's a very good question, and I'm still trying to work it out, because on one side of the human, I'm looking for the easiest way constantly.
Yes.
That's what evolution is. We're looking for a better way. And then there's something else that when you connect with the awesome power of nature, it's you feel it. You feel it. It runs through you, and it could be something as simple as what we might get to do later on as a green smoothie, and as much as you could do that in a city, it's a little bit different if you've it's come out of your own garden, or it's come out of a local farm, so I think wherever you can, get involved in your food journey, and it could just be going to your farmer's market, meeting the farmer, maybe go and volunteer at a farm. If you want to take it to the next level, then get a garden, and there's some simple ways to get a really easy, low maintenance garden that could be in a unit outside on a balcony, or it could be even on the kitchen sink, a sprout garden, or it could be a big sprawling backyard organic garden. But any of those, to get involved. So back to that question, what is it? I think it is just connecting with nature, and also that this world that we're part of now is so information rich, that when we can simplify down to the basic elements of what is producing life every moment of the day, every day, then it's powerful. So going simplifying is a powerful way, and doing it through food. It's in our DNA. It's in we
it's our entire history, isn't it, of how we've lived.
Yeah. These days, it's easy to jump online and order food, or go to the shop, and it's so. We as humans have made it so easy for ourselves that sometimes we've made it a little too easy, and you just have to look across the population and scan what are the health, what's the status, where are we at right now, and unfortunately, most of us on a global scale, we're sickly in so many ways. Cancer, obesity, diabetes, and all of these can be prevented by changing our food habits. But that's not just the only things. If we connect with our food and what grew our food, that cycle, it not only will affect our body and how our health will be, but it affects our mind. It affects one of the biggest things, and that is, are we satisfied? Are we fulfilled? Do we feel gratitude? Like, if we can feel gratitude on a daily basis, that's what we're all looking for. A little bit more joy, a little bit more peace, and that comes from a healthy body. But it's not just that. There's something else, and I think it is when we stay connected to nature.
And also even from like an energetic exchange, our energy can get so chaotic, especially being around computers and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff, to get on the ground, there is an exchange. There's a biochemical exchange that happens that does ground us, that does stabilize our energy. Yeah, and then from eating really good food, like the effect that has on our gut health, which just affects so much how we feel in who we are and on so many different levels. And just really coming back to that simplicity of food, like it's so simple, isn't it? Yeah.
I like when you mention the word energy, it ultimately that's what the food is providing us, energy, so we can walk, run, we can do what we need to do, we can think. There's on that subtler level, there's the energy. It is literally recoding us. So we can either be recoded by nature, which is a plant. Now this plant isn't necessarily going to feed us, but it's still emitting a biochemical energy, and we pick it up as humans. We feel that. Now that's proven by science, and we don't need to. That's not part of today's discussion. But when we eat from that plant, we're literally taking in that plant's DNA and coding and merging it into ourselves. So we can either take and eat and become from nature, or we can eat and become what's come out of a laboratory. And unfortunately, that's where most of the food.
Experiment.
Yeah, and I'm not. I think there's some benefits to that, but I don't feel like we're smart enough yet to outdo what nature has taken billions of years to do.
I don't think we're meant to.
I don't think so either, no. And there's proof. There's already proof to say, well, if we are already so smart that we can just create our food in a laboratory, well, we were kind of already doing that. The middle aisles of the supermarket, they're already full of stuff that that may have came from a portion of real food, but it's been changed so much that is what we know as processed food, that
is it really food?
Is it really food? And does it have any of that energy that we're talking about? Well, I don't think so. And look at the results. Again, we are the unhealthiest we've ever been. Period. However, there is when we take the whole population into account. However, we are also understanding a whole lot more about the health of food. And every time I head down that rabbit hole, and it is diverse, and it can get us a little overwhelmed. I remember having those feelings of, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by this expert's telling me this person's telling me this. There's a million diets out there.
Yeah.
However, no one is yet arguing on the benefits of fresh, real vegetables and fruit. So if we can at least take more of that into our diet, the rest of it, well, maybe I think take that with a grain of salt. And I'm not saying I only eat vegetables. That would be a total lie. I've still got taste buds that those big companies out there have got. They know what biochemically we're attracted to. Sweet, fat, and salt. And so they're in those foods that usually if we were out there growing our own food, or we were looking through the forest for our food, it would take a fair while to find those sweets. And when we could gorge on them, and it wouldn't harm us. But now we've got access to it and it's been stripped from the rest of the actual food that it's come with. So if we actually took that sugary aspect of the food but kept it in the fruit, where there's a whole lot of fibre, there's a whole lot of water, and there's a whole lot of stuff that we don't even know what it is. We literally don't know what a lot of those we just call them phytochemicals. We don't really know, but that's in there, and it's part of this amazing thing that we call a human body that we cannot yet figure out how to make one of these. And I think that's because nature is smart. Nature smart's not even the right word. It's
incredibly intelligent.
Yeah. And I think that. So I'm urging myself constantly, reminders, because it is easy. It's so easy just to sway off and be like, oh, that's right. So I wish it was just like easy, but it's not easy. And when I say it's not easy, it's a habit, and it's a daily habit of whatever that is. I call that a ritual. So it's a ritual where get up and get connected, plug in, start with some water. Like, I think that's a great way. It's natural, and there really is simplifying. There's only so many elements that operate our whole earth. We can tap into them in our morning ritual. We can have so. And simplicity, if we could bring it back, because I find my mind will wander into the diverse aspects of food growing or the benefits of that. But again, bringing it right back to simplicity. Eat an apple.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yeah. Breathe in. Breathe. It really is a gift.
It's so interesting in today's world, in the health space, of how it can be, I have to eat this because, they said it was amazing for me, but you lose the pleasure and the joy of actually eating it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I love that message of coming back to simplicity and just enjoying the food, whatever it is, and having that connection, to food.
I guess that why isn't it as widespread? I think that as humans we do what we're conditioned to do. So there's big companies that have got a lot of money that help condition us on a large scale, and there's not a whole lot of money in marketing fresh produce because it's hard. Often, and when I look at a global level, the people that are eating the more fresh, sort of old-fashioned diet, it's more in either the ultra rich or the rich. Then it kind of, we miss a gap, and then it goes down to the third world countries. So I often see when I'm in the third world countries, on a level, not like there's certainly a lot that would not be in the category that I would call healthy, but there is certainly a whole lot of farmers and peasants out there that are having a diverse, natural food diet that are really healthy, and it seems that it's hard work to grow the food. Like we don't feel like we have the time like our grandmas and our grandpas did to have backyard gardens, which is sad. So I want to see more of that coming back, and there is so many other ways that we as humans that want to be enterprising can. There is a huge wellness industry, and we have to be careful, and we have to be what's the word? We can on our wellness journey be sidetracked so easily. There's so much. So I think as long as we keep our base simple, connected to real food. That's it. Just keep that real food. Then we can dabble in all the myriad of different possibilities for wellness that are out there, and I think that's exciting to see what's out there. But I think we don't want to lose that base. And whenever we do stray too far from it, as either a person or as a complete race, we see the population, the health of that population totally get sidetracked. So over these last few years, I'm seeing a resurgence in healthy eating, and I think we're starting to get that back. And we're really starting to see value in the real food. We're seeing farmers markets taking off, which I think is fantastic. 10 years ago, there was only a few farmers markets in Australia, and now there's hundreds of them. So that's a positive sign.
Because the younger generation, what we're seeing, are very much more aware and making more conscious choices, like a large proportion of them. So they want to live sustainably. They're making choices based on something that is connected with their values. Like there's a lot more awareness in the world around that. And so, even among hotels, just chatting with clients and things like that, just people are traveling to choose things when they go on holiday, to have wellness experiences, to go to markets, to do yoga. Like, these are the things that they do normally, and they want to continue that when they travel. So it's really great to hear the boom in local farmers markets, and they're so enjoyable as well, and that sense of community as well, because of the disconnection that can happen with social media, even though it's social. I think really bringing it back to real face-to-face community and being with people in a way that is more connected with the earth. Like, that is beautiful. That is such a beautiful experience for people, and to bring more of that into their lives, I'm a mad planter and I love it. I really thrive off getting in the garden, and you feel it, you just feel it. And even the creative process of creating, say, a veggie garden, it's like, well, what should we grow? And then you try things, and certain things at certain times of years die off, or you learn from that and you go, oh, well, we can grow this at this time of the year, and just, I think that's just a wonderful thing.
And I like when you say with the hotels and when you're away, you do want to do some of the things you love, and some of the things in the past that have kind of scared me if I'm going away is the thought of, oh, where am I going to be able to get my healthy fix? I can't get it in the local shop. But what I am seeing is that there is more and more restaurants and cafes that are wanting to bring local produce or really good healthy food. So this demand is being met, and I congratulate those that take it, because it is hard for those businesses. It is a lot easier for those businesses just to go to their normal wholesaler, but to reach out, make the extra phone calls, pay a little bit extra maybe for their produce or for their goods, and to have that. And I am seeing that around Australia, and especially in places like Noosa. I think that we have a responsibility and an opportunity to really set a standard that can be followed by others. And when I say that standard, I've been in the hotel industry, in the restaurant industry, in the cafe industry, in the farming industry. We've got an amazing climate. We've got amazing beaches and natural. We've kept a lot of our natural environment, which is amazing, and we're starting to realise how beneficial that is for not only our health but for tourism, and for so many other factors. That it's exciting. It's a really exciting time, and I think that when I kind of hit my lows, and I'm so happy to then when I go to that cafe, they've got something that's actually either from our own farm or from one of our other local farmers, and it's so exciting. And I feel so grateful that I'm part of that system, because 10 years ago this would not have been possible. There was not enough market, not enough demand to have 50 different farms on the Sunshine Coast.
Wow, that is awesome.
So all growing their niche, different little products, and so
it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So I look forward to seeing more of what happens in this space, and I think wellness is a huge conversation. I think it's a very necessary conversation, and it's only going to expand, you know. So you have lots of information on your website about having your own home garden. You've got little different bits and pieces. So from the simple to the more complex of the veggie garden.
Yes, yeah. So we've got a blog posts, and they're getting updated each week now with in the garden, in the kitchen, and on the yoga mat. So there will be ones on there of how to set up. Actually, I think we start with how to set the site up. So it'll start from the beginning. So we can share that with the listeners out there, or if they are interested in of how to set up their own garden, keeping it really simple and where to start. And also, I'm available if anyone actually needs to email, they can contact you.
Actually, the workshops that you have at your farm, do you go into things about how, obviously you talk about, well, can you share with us, what are the workshops that you have on your property?
We do a compost workshop, so where people can learn how to make a a 1 cubic metre compost, so that's good for home gardening. We do a seed to food workshop where we will start with seeding and how to germinate.
Yep.
What sort of soil you need, because it's not just the soil you buy in a bag. So there is some processes to really get good germination. That's a whole process. So we'll have one workshop that's all about germination and creating really thriving, abundant seedlings. And then we have retreats. So these will be more focused on a little bit of planting, and then how to breathe properly, how to do yoga, how to make green smoothies.
Wow.
So
are they full day retreats, or do they go for a few days? Or
we've got a couple of different. We've got a half day one.
Yeah.
We've got a full day one where we bring in some other practitioners and they'll do some other aspects, and they change depending on which season we're in.
Yeah.
And then we've got some 3 to 4 hour ones where we'll have a chef come in, we'll do some harvesting from the farm, and the participants can learn how to cook Ayurvedically, or they can do some different meals where it's come from the garden. And they will be half day, and then we also do workshops for corporate, so we can package a certain pack up where we can say, some people have come in and say, oh, okay, we'd like the green smoothie, we'd like some yoga, and we'd like to have the learn how to do the seedlings, so we can put all that together into a half day or a 1 day event. So that's certainly
is that really aspect to help with team building, the corporate side of things? The
corporates are finding that it's a really great way for team building. Some of them are doing it as like a celebration. If they've achieved a milestone, then they're using the retreat as a gift to their employees. And
that's such a beautiful gift.
It is, yeah.
It's such a thoughtful gift to give people.
Absolutely, yeah. Even on the Christmas parties, we've had a few Christmas parties that are, instead of just your standard Christmas party, get drunk kind of thing. I think that there's a lot of companies out there that are progressive, and they're recognising that their team is interested in wellness, so they're putting on yoga. They're still adding a little bit of drink, so we've got food, yoga, and then champagne wine by the fire, watching the sunset. So it's a nice package that so kind of merging those worlds between the yoga world, the corporate world, and the farming world. The farming world's sort of been relegated to, we don't get to see much of the farm, so we feel so blessed to be right in Noosa, where people can, it's so close that they can actually come and interact with the farm. We haven't got it yet where you can just turn up, but we probably will have some 1 hour tours where people can book online. But if they're up here on holiday, they can jump on the website and book a they can certainly already book a yoga session, and soon they'll be able to book a tour, or they can book a group tour if they've got 10 people or more. So
I love what you guys do, which is, you talk about grow, nourish, and connect. So, and the connect side of it is, with the yoga element as well. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So my partner Chrissy manages the yoga, and it's not just yoga. It's movement. So it's movement often through yoga, but we'll also bring other aspects. So this weekend we had community acupuncture. So we had an acupuncturist on the farm, and they were doing a new concept where a group will come in. It was a group of 15, and they'll all have a certain point or a certain sequence of points, a third eye or an ear, and they all would lay in their acupuncture for 30 to 40 minutes while there was a sound bath of a whole range of different beautiful music, and then they would have a tea and then followed by yoga. So it was a really beautiful way of merging some different worlds that have been a little bit sort of separate out on their own, and we're finding that the space, which we're a big 200 square metre yogashala, is becoming a meeting ground, a bridging ground for multiple wellness aspects, all situated on the farm, which kind of creates the fertile environment for all that to be flourishing and expanding upwards. So I can share some of those details of how people can connect in with those.
That would be great. Yeah, we will definitely list those as well, because I just think it's wonderful. You know, for people, Noosa is such a tourism destination, and again, like what we were saying before, so many people are traveling wanting to experience wellness experiences, and a lot of people are coming from busy, you know, they're coming from the cities, they're stressed, they're, you know, overworked, and just looking to just, you know, get back, connect with nature, connect with themselves, and just find, you know, that deeper level of peace within, and that is really recharging, and then they can go back, and they can go back a lot stronger, and there is so much. Yeah, it's really interesting in the conversations that we've been having how much of that is out there, how much of, you know, people are seeking that, and to know that you guys are offering so much on your property, but also the opportunity for people to be able to order boxes. So when they come and stay up here in Noosa, for example, you know, they could order, if they're staying for a week or a few weeks, they can get a big veggie box, or, you know, if they're here for a shorter time, they can get maybe more of a smoothie box. That's right. So they can still go out and have dinner, but they're getting really healthy ingredients, you know, beautiful biodynamic, nutrient dense, you know, produce, and just being able to whiz that together, go out to the beach, go out for a walk. You know, they go out for dinner later on, but that's exciting. There's a lot of people that are taking that up now, realising that they could be in Victoria or anywhere in the world, and they can jump online, pre-order their box, and when they arrive, that it's either sitting on their door waiting, we drop it to the reception, and other times it's there just after they get there. Our drivers will help them pack it into their fridge, or we'll drop it at the door, whatever they prefer. And like you say, they could have the smoothie boxes with recipes. We've got recipes online. So no longer do they have to just go to the juice bar and just get quite a fruit juice kind of thing. They can really make something that's healthy the way they do it at home. And well, I'm looking forward to watching you make a juice or a smoothie after this, so that'll be great.
Yeah, great.
We were talking outside of this interview about gut health. And how much it's like almost this lack of awareness we have around the decisions that we make, that our gut is making those decisions for us. So, for example, you know, if you are going from you know, having a lot more processed foods to then switching over to a more, you know, natural, wholesome way of living, it can be really hard because of the gut bacteria inside of you is basically saying, but I want this, and there's this overgrowth of gut bacteria that is so used to this. And so when you introduce this wholesome food, you really need to start to build up that bacteria. And so it's quite hard in that transition, but even just understanding that process alone, for me personally anyway, has made it easier. So if we did go on holiday and say we were, you know, a little bit naughty, you know, you can feel yourself like wanting to reach for that the following day, but just having that awareness that, oh, it's my gut bacteria in there, it's like, okay, well, you know, okay, I'm gonna have this, you know, and I think it just helps understanding that. And, you know, science has been talking about that a lot recently, about gut bacteria. What were you talking about before?
I was talking about that. You're right. The body that we have is an ecosystem made up of trillions of microorganisms, and once we recognise that we are a complex ecosystem, then our mouth is the portal. We energise ourselves with our oxygen, and our mouth is where we put our water and our food that feeds our body. But we don't just feed our body, we feed the organisms that are in our body and the microorganisms that are within that, especially in our gut. So then we have these cravings, and now we can actually move our cravings. We can design it so that our cravings are actually craving healthy things by literally feeding the these microorganisms, the good bacteria, and by giving them a diet of healthy real foods, it will end up making us reach for the healthier foods next time. So it doesn't have to be a long process. It can just simply be a 7-day. We've got people that are doing we've got a 7-day cleanse. We've got a 21-day cleanse. And in such a short period of time, it can really rapidly change the ecosystem of.
Wow.
And if we change that ecosystem, then it will naturally desire and search out the healthy options. And we can still have some of those naughty, maybe not so healthy foods, but if we're only feeding ourselves those processed foods, then we're going to have an ecosystem that is quite polluted. Our cravings are going to be wanting, unfortunately, the more unhealthy we get, the more unhealthy our cravings are. And it doesn't take much to wind it back the other way. So a little bit of a support, a little bit of a challenge, a 7-day, 14-day, or 21-day challenge, cleanse, commitment, whatever it is, of having upping the natural food intake in a little bit in each meal. So maybe some fruit in the morning, maybe some salad on the side of whatever our lunch is, or maybe it's the main part, and then having some vegetables with our dinner or at any stage
with
of the day.
lots of butter and salt.
and then having
because
some good oils is so crucial. So I think the gut health is so important. And with the green smoothies, I'll often find when we're doing, say, a tour, someone might say, "Oh, I don't like it," and I say, "Well, it doesn't matter if you don't like it now. Give it a couple of days. Your taste buds change. They will eventually, very soon, not even like the sweet fructose, the sweet corn syrup based lolly. Like it actually eventually,
it will be so sweet.
It's too sweet.
Yeah.
But our bodies adapt. If that's all we feed it, our bodies will numb down, so we can't taste the salt and the super sweetness that goes into so much of our food. But once we put more of the natural food in, then we start eating a bit of that, and it will be repulsive. We start, you know what, we don't want it, and then it's not so much of a fight to be like, oh, I've got to go on a diet, and it's got to be hard, and it's got to be. It's not. Just put put more of the healthy food in, and the body will search out for more of it, and then you're starting that snowball in a healthy way. It's just wanting more and more, and it's so drinking water, having those real foods change, and having an oil source, whether it's a vegetable oil, whether it's a butter and salt, like you say,
grass-fed butter and Himalayan sea salt.
Beautiful, yeah.
But you can mix avocado oil, coconut oil. Absolutely, there's so much goodness in the variety of oils. Yeah.
And these are all foods that are supporting our gut health, rather than the processed foods that are destroying it. And we're talking also earlier about our kids. Like, if once the kids have this flora of good gut health, then they will want the healthier foods. And there's multiple ways of stimulating and opening the healthier gut bacteria or gut microorganisms, and we can take tablets, the bacteria tablets. But in the olden days, it would be a bit of dirt, and now we're a bit scared of dirt.
Yeah, that's actually, I was listening to someone the other day saying how important it is to be in nature and to get dirty. Yeah. And that bacteria is so beneficial for the bacteria on our body. Yeah. Like that is something so rich to feeling good. Yeah. Get in the dirt, get dirty.
My farmer mentor how he would do his soil tests. He would get me down in the soil and we'd taste his soil. And at first I thought, he's tricking me. This is just silly. But you can taste it. And eventually, especially if it's your own garden, you know what's going in there. And then your your body biochemically knows,
Wow.
and it will take it will take what it needs from that sort of. And there is some belief that says that if you're putting the saliva on your seeds and planting them, then it's also
I've heard that.
taking from the soil, because the plants are always in this constant communication with the ecosystem in the soil. They're sending out messages to say, hey, we need some of this. They're bringing in oxygen and sun in the form of biochemical energy.
Yeah.
And they're feeding this microorganism network, an ecosystem, and in exchange they're getting minerals, vitamins, and that's coming up into the plant. There's so much to be said for getting in. So if there's a bit of dirt on your produce, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit in there.
Yeah.
And the produce is naturally going to carry that microorganism into the gut as well, which is so beneficial for us to have healthy lives and to want the food and like you mentioned before, to actually enjoy the process, because there's no point in having a whole bunch of salads or foods but then to be like miserable about eating it because you don't even like it. So
because you're doing it because you should, or someone told you, you know, it is really about finding the joy with food. And there are some wonderful things that you can do to, it's like, you know, when I you know, this was probably 5 years ago, you know, the whole thing of, yes, healthy fats are good, but not too much. And when I just put butter on my veggies, it just changed my experience with salt, you know, especially on Brussels sprouts, you know, it just changes the experience. So it's just, you know, certainly not being afraid of fat. And using it, not being afraid of salt. You know, I think we need a lot of salt, but not in the form of processed foods. It's just getting the balance right. And there are so many flavours that you can just make with herbs and spices and all of that. Keeping it simple, finding some really simple recipes so it's not too much hard work. But it certainly can be done. Certainly, it is all about enjoying it.
And enjoying that process of cooking as well, whether you've taken in the participation of the growing it, you know, getting in the kitchen. You're right, it doesn't have to be complex. The healthiest meals are often the simplest, and it's so exciting to bring the children into that process as well.
Absolutely.
Kitchen, garden. So.
Well, I've got some more quick, curious questions here. So, what is your favourite green smoothie at the moment? Or are you going to show us afterwards?
Later on I'll show you the one I'm liking the most.
Okay, great. Perfect. What are you loving learning about at the moment? Could be anything at all.
Well, that's a good question. I am currently reading and enjoying learning about the history of Sapiens.
Are you reading the book Sapiens? I've read the book.
And I'm finding it fascinating. So I guess I'm interested in whatever it is I'm currently reading. I always love health and wellness and all that, but it's just this idea of that. Where's the journey that we've been on, and also therefore based on that, where are we going? And it was kind of quite insightful to ponder who we are as a species, what really defines us, and where may that lead us.
Very interesting book. What does Shambhala mean to you? Why did you call the property Shambhala?
Shambhala means like heaven on earth or special place. So it's not so much of a place. It's more of a way of being. So to me, what it meant, it was like a reminder for me to continue to live a certain way. So when I think of the word Shambhala and think of where I want to live, I want to continuously live in that Shambhala. I do believe in heaven on earth. I believe that we can have an amazing experience here, or we can have a really terrible experience, all depending on what we're putting out there in our mind, in our heart. And so I wrote a book, and I love this concept, And then I thought, when I bought the farm,
Yeah.
I thought this is going to be my Shambhala, this place that I can be the best version of myself or continue. I don't know if I can ever be that, but at least this continuing to strive towards becoming and living present, living healthy, and living with gratitude, and searching for the healthiest and most enjoyable version of myself that I can be is my Shambhala. Yeah.
Ah, that's beautiful. Actually, one of the questions I was going to ask is what makes you happy, but I think you've kind of...
Well, there's that surfing. I love surfing,
yeah.
so yeah. I thought that I would have to give up surfing when I got the bug to start a farm, but luckily I found a property near Noosa, and surfing brings me a lot of joy to just get out there in the water, and also food and yoga.
So, coming up in the next 6 months, what is a challenge that you're up against, but you're curious to kind of unfold and discover and really, go for?
We've been probably retreats. We've been putting day retreats on, half-day retreats, 2-hour workshops, but we're putting together a 3-day retreat and then the possibility of a 7-day retreat where they'll come on site, we'll bring in accommodation. Wow. So that's exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking, and but it feels like that's the direction that we're getting called to. So that would be probably the current thing that's pushing
a little bit scary but exciting at the same time. Oh, that's awesome. So in this interview, is there anything that you'd like to share about that we haven't touched on?
I think that we've covered quite a detailed topic, but also I think we've done well kind of exploring that and having a conversation about wellness through real food and through gut health. Probably just some letting people know how they can find us. So they can find us on our website at shambhalafarm.com.au. We've got our blog on there that is updated each week with exciting ways in the kitchen, and that is that Grow, Nourish, Connect. So how to grow food, how to nourish your body in the kitchen, and how to connect with your energetic body on either the yoga mat or in multiple other ways. We've got a green smoothie book that we're giving away at the moment as well, so that's on the website. Maybe we can do something if there's a link with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And then exciting thing is in the next 2 weeks we'll be launching our 7-day cleanse. So we've been working on that in the background with recipes with some naturopaths and some other healers and some health professionals, and putting together a full program with the 3 meals a day, 7 days, email support. We're putting yoga videos and breathing videos in there, so it'll be a full cleanse.
Wow, on different levels.
On different levels, yeah.
Great.
So that's exciting. So that'll be launching very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And hopefully we get to see some people out of the farm on a retreat or on a workshop, or maybe they can become, if they're out of the Noosa area, that don't be afraid to become a customer and order a box for when they're up here on their holiday. Try it out, and there's no commitments to it. Just try it, and they can work with us online to tailor it to be exactly what they want. There's no set boxes that they have to stay with. They can get whatever they like.
And I just want to say, like, switching over to ordering from you guys was just one of the, it was almost like it took a while for me to build up to do that, but when I did, it was just the best decision, and I just feel so grateful to be able to eat such gorgeous produce locally. And it's so easy. You deliver Friday night the boxes, and if you're not home, you can still leave them to the next day, and they're still fine. They stay pretty fresh, and it's so easy. It's not having to lug all these fruit and veggies from the the supermarkets. It just
Yeah.
lands on your doorstep. It's so easy, and on your website, it's just so easy to quickly change things, change your order each week, and I love it.
Yeah, and you get
Yeah.
access to all sorts of different local producers
Yes.
and kombucha makers and
Yeah.
bread makers, coffee roasters, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that love to go to farmers markets, and I say keep going to the farmers markets, but you don't have to lug those elements
Yeah.
around. Get
Yeah.
that delivered,
Yeah.
and it'll be people from the farmers markets in your box,
Mm.
and then go there for your breakfast and your coffee and the social catch up. I
Yeah.
think that then it's a really exciting. I see some people walk around with some heavy bags, and it's a chore to go there. And
Yeah.
I think that
You need the granny basket.
Yeah,
The big version of the granny basket.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a
welcome.
pleasure
Thank
chatting
you.
with you, and I'm so grateful for your produce, and really love what you're doing, and look forward to seeing all the great things that you begin to really develop. And
Thank you.
yeah, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's such a pleasure to have you as a customer, but have you also as a health professional and someone that inspires me and us back at Shambhala. So we certainly watch what you guys are doing, and it's an exciting space. So I'm very honoured to be asked to be here. So thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
So shall we make a green smoothie?
Yes, for sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, would you like to talk us through this
Okay.
green smoothie?
So we're going to make a green smoothie. This is my go-to green smoothie. So this is the kind of thing that I'll go for lunch, and I might have a little bit of something on the side.
Yeah.
But this is my green smoothie. So in the green smoothie book that we were talking about, this is the recipe that's in there.
Great.
And my way of making green smoothies, again, trying to keep things simple, is to say 1/3 greens, 1/3 fruit, and 1/3 liquid.
Okay.
Now, then doesn't make it simple, but then I add like a teaspoon or a spoonful of superfoods. So if you're really accurate, it wouldn't be a 1/3, 1/3. So, but the bulk of it is fruit, greens, liquid with some superfoods. So my superfoods today will be some oils.
Yeah.
So I use a omega-3, 6 and 9 oil. It could be some macadamia oil or any kind of oil, linseed oil. I use some green powders. They can be whatever green powders you like, spirulina, and I use cacao. Sometimes I'll switch that between maca and cacao. So we've got our superfoods, and then I like a nut butter of any kind. Today we're going to use peanut butter. It could be macadamia, nut butter. It could just be some fresh nuts as well. That would work as well.
Yeah.
And then greens-wise, we've got some kale. We've got a little bit of mint, and we've got some English spinach. And then we've got a little bit of ginger and some turmeric. So we're going to add that in. And then we've got some frozen bananas, and they're the key. So with the fruit, I always like to have bananas and or avocado, but bananas will make it sweet. And then the trick is definitely to freeze them. So I'll peel them, put them in a sandwich bag, freeze them, and have them ready to go. I'll have a bunch of them ready. So I'll need 1 or 2 per smoothie. And then the liquid could be water. It could be like a juice that's, say, a carrot juice or a celery juice that you've pre-juiced.
Yeah.
Or it could be a rice milk. This one we're using today is my favourite one lately. It's a mix of coconut milk, water, and rice milk, and it's called Cocoa Quench. That's the one I've been loving the most. So this now we're going to do. We'll make it. So we're making it in a NutriBullet. It could be in a blender or any kind of blender. So let's go. So we've got all our stuff ready. I'm just going to slice up the banana a little bit, just so it's not such hard work for the blender. And it's best that this is straight out of the freezer, and that way you don't have to put ice in it either.
Yeah.
So I've got a little over 1.5 there.
Yeah.
Then we'll put some kale, and we're going to pull the stem off the kale.
Yeah.
So we don't want that fibrous stem. We'll put that in there. I've already washed all this stuff, and I'll just take the stem out of that mint. It doesn't matter if you've got some stem in there. It's just that it will get too chunky if there's too much stem.
Yeah.
And then we've got some spinach, some English spinach. And I like to change up the greens. So It could be some lettuce. It could be whatever's in the garden. It could be whatever's in the fridge. Just some soft leafy green.
And there's just a different variety of macronutrients and things like that in here that are really good for you every day.
Absolutely.
And is it really important to get the superfoods into your diet?
I do like to get some superfoods into my diet. The greens can be whatever's in the garden and whatever's in the fridge. Soft leafy greens, they're in there, and we're going to put some turmeric and ginger in there. So I like a fair bit of the ginger.
Spice.
It gives it a bit of a kick. In the recipe, I say a centimetre cube, which is probably about that big, but I might double that for myself. So we'll put I chop that up a little bit just to give the blender a bit of ease.
I guess the turmeric's a really good anti-inflammatory.
Turmeric is so good in our diets for anti-inflammatory properties, and generally we've all got a little bit of inflammatory stuff going on from the foods we eat. So I think turmeric getting in there is so good. And if you can't get fresh, some powder is better than nothing. So fresh is definitely best always, but if you can't, then superfoods. Now, do we need superfoods? It's a pretty superfood already. However, I just don't think it hurts to add something. It's so easy to have in the cupboard. Some greens. So you can have whatever greens you're into. I like this one. I'm not particularly phased on which particular brand, but I do like this one. It's got a bit of everything in there. And I'll put a small teaspoon in there. I've got some omega-3, 6 and 9 oil.
Does it help having the oil in there to digest this as part of the process?
It does, and our bodies are they're not getting enough oil. So I'm making this to know that when I have this, I know that I'm getting my oils, I'm getting my superfoods, I'm getting a bit of fresh, I'm getting a bit of the ginger and turmeric. So I feel like we need more omega-3 and mostly omega-3s. This one is Udo's oil. It's a blend. It's a
good brand.
It's a good brand. It's not Australian. So the other option I sometimes do is use soaked chia seeds. That's got quite a lot of good omegas in there as well. So some sort of oil in there. A little bit of spirulina. There's already some spirulina in this one, but I like to put a little bit extra, so a bit of spirulina. I like a big spoon of the cacao, and the cacao's got a whole lot of healing properties in there, and it makes it delicious. And then a nice spoonful of peanut butter or nut butter of any kind. So that'll be for taste and for the benefits of nuts. So if you're allergic to nuts, don't have that one. Obviously, make it to suit yourself. And then our liquids. So we'll use our cocoa quench today. And in the recipe, I think we say a little over a cup. But I usually just feel it out. You can add more or add more banana if it needs to be thickened up. Okay, so a little bit more. And that's it. So now we're ready to blend it.
So how long have you just blended that for?
So we've blended that for about 30 seconds.
Okay. Oh, that's delicious. That's really good.
You used to create smoothie moustaches.
For show notes, resources, links and more about Shambhala Farm, visit pebbledesign.com/5. If you like this conversation, we'd love your feedback. Leave a review, a question or a quick comment. That way we can invite more guests on the show around wellbeing topics you're more curious about to live a happy, healthy, thriving and vital life. Subscribe on iTunes or our website pebbledesign.com to be part of the guest wellbeing conversation.